Okay, well, good evening. Welcome home. This is James Brewer Calvert welcoming you to 601 Wednesday. We are live. It always takes me a while to get the technology going, but there are folks with these gifts and there are folks without them, so here we are. Today is March 30th, 2022. You are at First Christian Church of Decatur, and I'm going to shift a little bit so that the light is not right behind my head. I do have an aura, but that's not the aura we want tonight. There we go. All right, bingo. Okay, so welcome, and delighted to see you. I see that some folks are tuning in, and let's get right to it. So, a couple announcements, and then a meditation on naming and complaining. The first announcement is that last week's panel on justice, science, and spirituality was amazing, and you can watch it on our Facebook page. It was an hour of sharing of inspirational thoughts and information from 4 panelists, a scientist, a rabbi, and 2 pastors. And we walked into a bar. What's amazing about that is since last Thursday night, over 750 people have tuned in and watched the hour-long program. So I've gotten phone calls from people in Oklahoma and elsewhere saying, I watched it and was amazing, and thank you. And it's nice to know there's churches out there that are not afraid of engaging people at that intersection of faith and reason. So go ahead and check it out. It's on our Facebook page. And big kudos to the Atlantis Science Festival for setting that all up. Thank you so much. The second announcement is that Holy Week is coming. Easter is soon upon us. Yay. We are continuing to move through the season of Lent. And then that kind of culminates, if you will, with Holy Week. So Sunday, April 10th is Palm Sunday. And after worship, you're invited to stay and help us stuff Easter eggs. More about that in a minute. On Thursday is Maundy Thursday of Holy Week, and we will have our Maundy Thursday service in the sanctuary. The entire service will take place in the sanctuary. We will have an open communion, and we'll also, by intinction, but there'll also be those little personal pre-filled cups if you prefer. There'll be special music, and it'll be a very moving service. Good Friday is on the church lawn, hosted by Gentle Spirit Christian Church and First Christian Church of Decatur. And Easter Sunday is April 17th at 9:15. There's going to be an Easter egg hunt on the lawn. Some goats and sheep may appear for a petting zoo, and that'll be a lot of fun. Worship starts at 10:25 as we celebrate the resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. There will be baptisms, bell choir, and a banquet. The banquet will be Holy Communion as we gather as one around Christ's table. That'll be a big day. I'm looking forward to it. Hope to see you here. So I made up a joke. Here's my joke. My oncologist told me that my chemotherapy that may save my life, yay, I'm hoping for it and praying for it and willing it to happen, that it has a variety of side effects, and including acne or rashes. Yeah, see, it's already started. So I told him that regardless of the side effects, our prime objective is to shrink tumors and to have a meaningful life. So as you may be able to see, I'm starting to look like an overage teenager. So the good news is that if I'm good and I clean my side of the room, that Betty may drive me to the mall. That's my joke. But the other night she was looking at me and she said, James, you've really never had a problem with acne before. And I said, no. And now here it comes at age 62. Go figure. You just can't make this stuff up. And then I said, Betty, no matter what happens, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain. I will name whatever happens to my body, whatever side effects that arise. I'm going to name and claim whether it's acne or rashes, neuropathy in my hands or my feet, or this weird sensation of being feeling toxic at times. And I know there's a possibility that one day the food that I eat might start to taste like metal. And my nutritionist said, just use wooden spoons or forks or plasticware, and don't eat food that comes out of tin. Pretty good advice. But whatever happens, I'm going to name it and claim it. And I'm going to acknowledge the reality of the situation in which I'm living and breathing. And I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep on loving. I'm going to keep on serving, keep on preaching and teaching and being delighted to be your pastor. I'm going to keep on following my Lord and my God, who has called me into being and brought me together with you. What an amazing gift. And I can do so and be so. I can name and imagine all of this because your prayers and your good vibrations are lifting me up. They're lifting up my family, and they're a part of this healing process. That healing happens in community. Healing happens in community. And if you or anyone asks, I'm going to share what's going on. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be honest with you and forthright, because it's an opportunity for me to witness, and also an opportunity for me to process whatever's happening, whatever's going on. But the one thing you're not going to hear me say is a complaint. Let's unpack the differences between naming and complaining. I love this Mark Twain quote. Mark Twain said that everybody complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Complaining focuses on judging someone or judging something. Complaining seeks to divert and to drive the energy that you have within you outward, but it has the opposite side effect. When you complain, rather than your energy going outward, you are actually eating yourself up inside. That's what complaining does, because complaining is reactive. However, naming is proactive. Naming is proactive. When you name something, when you state, you articulate the reality of the existence of whatever it is you need to talk about, and you have a solid sense of here we are. This is our life. This is our truth. And now what are you and I, what are we, God and community and yourself, what are we going to do about it? That's what naming does. Naming is proactive, whereas complaining is often associated with whining. Would you like some wine with that complaint? Yes, I would. Okay. Naming something is proactive. When you state what you are thinking, what you're experiencing, what you're witnessing, you give it a label, you give it a name, you give it an identity, enabling you to see it more clearly, to identify and to cope with whatever's going on in your life. When you name or express a feeling, you say, I feel, and that's a very positive, proactive thing to do, to say, I feel, and you state a specific feeling, whether you're frustrated or you're disappointed. You might be irritated. You might be feeling peaceful. You might be happy and pleased. But that's a positive action. I'm feeling, and you name it. And you put it out there, and you see it in front of you, and others can respond in a positive way. I think attitude has a lot to do with naming versus complaining. Attitude is huge. A negative attitude approaches challenges as helpless or hopeless. And we had a conversation at church today about whether being hopeless is a part of life. And for some people it is, and some people it's not. But a negative attitude makes you feel or makes you act as if nothing or little can be done to alter whatever is happening. A positive attitude approaches challenges with a sense of hope. You can never underestimate the power of hope, or overestimate, if you will. Thank you. Because hope is a gift of God. Hope enables us and empowers us to trust that the Lord will provide. Hope helps us to believe that help is on the way. Matter of fact, that help is here. Somewhere, somehow, some way, that help is around you. You know, in Hogwarts they say help will always be given to those who ask. Well, be hopeful, and help is here. I have got a couple of examples that spring to my mind when I think about naming versus complaining. The first one is that I've been to a lot of political and spiritual and peace rallies, protests of all kinds since I was born, and here we are today. I've been to them in all kinds of cities and counties and states and countries. One of my favorite stories of going to a political rally was when Betty and I were in seminary. I was interning at an Episcopal church. The rector required that I wear a clergy collar, a clerical collar. And I looked about 15. And so here I am in this clergy collar, looking like a teenager, without acne, by the way. And I happened to be wearing the clerical collar when Betty and I went to a rally to raise our voices against apartheid in South Africa. So I reached over to hold her hand, because I was in love, and I still am. And I reached over to hold her hand, and Betty shook me off. And she said, "No, I don't want to hold your hand. I don't want anyone to think I'm dating a priest." You know, the people united will never be defeated. That's what we say at rallies. We say, we chant, we shout, the people united will never be defeated. That is a rallying cry, naming who and what we are all about. We are the people. We are united, and we will never be defeated. Recently, at Black Lives Matter protests, I have attended, the ones I've attended, before any keynote speakers get up on stage to make their little talks, the gathering is led in a litany of names. It's a litany of the names of victims of violence, particularly black men and women and children unjustly killed. And so the speaker who's leading us says, George Floyd, and we say, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tony McDade, Deion Johnson. We name their names. Naming their names keeps their memories alive. Naming keeps before us the need to address injustice. Naming helps us and keeps us united with the hope that we shall overcome. If we've been complaining when we said these names, if we've been complaining about injustice, complaining about violence, complaining about systemic racism, we'd feel powerless, inept, inexpert. We'd pack it in, and we'd all go to our separate little corners, our little silos, feeling less than. But we never did, and we never will, because there's power in naming, in remembering what's happened, in being grounded in today, and staying in the now, while declaring our future hope, that we see this hope coming on the horizon, and we will for it to come. That's naming. The other thought that comes to my mind is that naming helps us with our endings and with new beginnings. Naming helps us to find, I don't like the word closure. I don't think that's a positive, because nothing's ever really closed. But naming helps us to move through the endings of our lives into new beginnings. And new beginnings then lead into endings. It's a beautiful spiral of life and love. One of my favorite stories of endings is from Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas lived to be 103 years old. And he had countless experiences of endings and new beginnings. And he processed them and he parlayed them into new starts in his life. He named them. Kirk Douglas was not afraid or cowed to say what was going on in his life and to speak his truth. We once said, 15 years ago, I suffered a stroke, which caused me to lose my speech. Now, what does an actor who can't talk do? You wait for silent pictures to come back, he said. So I worked with a speech therapist twice a week. Kirk Douglas said, when you have a stroke, You must talk slowly to be understood. And I've discovered that when I talk slowly, people listen. They think I'm going to say something important. Don't you just love him? No matter how bad things are, said Kirk Douglas, they can always be worse. So what if my stroke left me with a speech impediment? Moses had one, and he did all right. And Moses named it, and claimed it, and delivered us. What a gift. God is so good at restarting our lives, at giving us the power and the grace to name and to claim whatever's going on, to be honest, to seek truth, and to do so with love and great humility. So name your life, name your love, name your situation, name your challenges, name your joys. Claim them and invite the community in. We at First Christian Church of Decatur are honored and delighted to be your community of faith. If there's anything we can do for you, don't hesitate to let us know. Just name it, and we'll be there. May God's blessings and peace be with you. Hope to see you on Sunday at 10:25 or before. Take care. Bye-bye.